Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Dormammu. In 2016's Doctor Strange, MCU fans were introduced to Dormammu for the first time. Benedict Cumberbatch's mystical superhero defeated the interdimensional entity by trapping him in a time loop, making him relive the same moment over and over until he relented and promised to leave the Earth alone. However, this wouldn't have sat well with Dormammu, and the fact remains, while he was defeated, he certainly wasn't finished off. You have to imagine the movie was setting the scene for much more drawn-out conflict between Strange and Dormammu, or maybe even the entire heroic roster of the MCU and Dormammu, because he's so powerful it might take them all to defeat him once and for all. Given that he controlled an entire dimension, he's certainly more powerful than Thanos at his base level in the MCU, so the heroes of the franchise shouldn't get too complacent once the Mad Titan is finally defeated.
Maybe not. I know a guy.
The Collector. The Collector is the character played by Benicio del Toro in 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy, and he reprised his role in this year's Avengers Infinity War, when Thanos used the Reality Stone to make it look like he was interrogating him. However, the fact is he's an Elder of the Universe, and those guys are powerful as hell. They control the power primordial, which allows the wielder to create virtually unlimited effects, and the Collector also possesses limited shape-shifting abilities, precognition, telepathy, and effective immortality. Given that we didn't really see him in the Avengers Infinity War, we have to imagine he escaped Thanos, who already had 2 Infinity Stones by that point, and is out planning his next move. There's every chance he could eventually come into contact with the Avengers, and if he wants to make them a part of his new collection, they could be in serious trouble.
I have to get off this planet. Hey, where are you going?
The Grandmaster. The Grandmaster, who was played by Jeff Goldblum in 2017's Thor Ragnarok, is another member of the group known as the Elders of the Universe, just like the Collector. In the comics, they all possess approximately the same levels of power, and they do, in fact, regard themselves as figuratively being brothers. With that in mind, should the Grandmaster wish to enslave and oversee battles between other superheroes in the MCU going forward, he undoubtedly has the power to do exactly that. He's pitted the Avengers against DC's Justice League in the comics, and although he didn't show any real power in the MCU, the position of power he was in can't have come easy, so he probably possesses the same power primordial and massive energy manipulation abilities that we assume the Collector possesses. Should he get a bit more ambitious in the MCU, the heroes could find themselves in a pickle.
Okay, so Ragnarok. Tell me about that. Walk me through it.
My time has come.
Surtur. 2017's Thor Ragnarok saw the only MCU appearance of Surtur to date, and boy did he make a big impact. After initially being depicted in a weakened, smaller form, at which point Thor was able to best him and escape with his crown would later be reunited with Eternal Flame, returning him to his full power and size. In all his massive, fiery glory, he was able to destroy Asgard itself, fulfilling the prophecy of Ragnarok, cementing himself as one of the most powerful individuals in the MCU. In the comics, Surtur is capable of going toe-to-toe with Odin, who can bust galaxies as a side effect of his battles, and if that turns out to be his level in the MCU, he could be even more dangerous than we already know he is, and that would certainly require the attention of every MCU hero, should he increase his ambition.
I'm just a janitor.
How would you like a job?
Hela. Looks like Thor Ragnarok had a couple of seriously powerful villains, because Hela also makes our list. You might think Hela died at the end of the movie, but the likelihood is she's still out there, because she was undoubtedly extremely hard to kill, and as the Asgardian goddess of death, you have to wonder if she can actually die at all. Cate Blanchett's character was able to best Thor in battle, even when he unleashed his most powerful lightning blast at her. She was unscathed. But most impressively, she was able to crush Mjolnir with her bare hands. She was also capable of forming weapons of varying sizes out of thin air, and she certainly seemed more powerful than Thanos at his base level, based on what we've seen of him so far. A team-up between the two in the future of the MCU would be fantastic.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him.
Death. Instead of siding with the Asgardian goddess of death, Thanos could actually end up imitating his comic book relationship with Mistress Death in the MCU, because the dark cosmic entity definitely exists in the franchise. It's been confirmed that death, entropy, infinity, and eternity were the beings responsible for creating the Infinity Stones in the MCU, which means they could potentially appear at any moment. The other cosmic entities aren't as malevolent as Death, which is why we aren't including them here. But should Death take its cloaked female form in the franchise, things could get really interesting. It's hard to refer to the character as a villain, but given its innately grave nature, there's absolutely no doubt that its mere presence would stir things up in a big way in the MCU. It has absolute control over the very concept of dying after all.
Nobody gets him, son.
Sidorak. Speaking of Doctor Strange, Avengers Infinity War saw a dramatic increase in his power, with a number of new spells at his disposal. One of them was the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, which he used to entangle Thanos. For that spell to be cast, Sidorak, a malevolent and ancient demon, must be invoked, which confirms the character's existence in the MCU. In the comics, Sidorak powers the Juggernaut by using a fraction of his power held in the Crimson Gem of Sidorak to imbue the X-Men villain with super strength, durability, and unstoppable momentum. And his Crimson Bands have been used to restrain characters as strong as the Hulk. Should Sidorak emerge with evil intentions in the MCU, its heroes could be in trouble. He's part of a group called the Octessence, so there are actually 7 other members of that group out there, all of whom have different powers, alignment, and intentions in the comics.
The Power Stone's all the firepower we need. It's our best hope.
The Living Tribunal. In Marvel's comics, the single most powerful being in the universe is the One Above All. The One Above All is a creator being who is essentially God, and has actually been depicted as having Jack Kirby's likeness, Kirby being one of Marvel's most iconic writers over the years. Second to the One Above All is the Living Tribunal, and we absolutely know that this character exists in the MCU. Carl Mordo referred to the character in 2016's Doctor Strange when he used a weapon called the Staff of Living Tribunal that contained a portion of the cosmic being's power. The Living Tribunal isn't a villain per se, but the entity oversees and maintains balance in the realities that constitute the Marvel multiverse, and it has threatened to destroy the Earth due to its potential for evil. So it could certainly be an antagonist in the MCU, even if its intentions are for the good of the universe.